Okay, so to sync up this audio file to your DVD or Blu-ray, I'm shortly going to ask you to pause this audio, and then you're going to start watching your DVD or Blu-ray, and as soon as the little atomic monster guy lands on the ground, that's when you unpause this sound file. Make sense? Okay, so pause this audio file in 3, 2, 1, now. All right, I'm David F. Sandberg.
And I'm Lotta Losten.
And this is an unofficial commentary track for Lights Out.
Yeah.
So this first shot here is actually on the Warner Brothers lot. So that's, their transportation department or something, that house. But the story behind this film is something we've talked a lot about, but it's pretty much every filmmaker's dream because it started with us making a no-budget short back home in Sweden. And that went viral online.
Overnight or a weekend, yeah.
Yeah, and we started getting contacted by all these people in Hollywood who wanted to, make a movie out of Lights Out.
And that was not the plan when we made the short film. It was for a competition, an online competition, and we didn't really think anything else would come of it. We wanted to make shorts to show the Swedish Film Institute that we could make movies with no money, and maybe we could get a grant from them to make another bigger movie. But Hollywood caught us before anything like that happened.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what can come of just a 2.5 minute short, and it's been quite a journey, and it wasn't always easy because I've never directed a movie before. I'd never even been on a film set before. So we both had to just fly over to the United States and just be thrown right into this.
Yeah, and here is my Hollywood debut. I had never done any movies except for the ones with David. I've done theater before, so this was exciting. That day was strange and exciting.
It wasn't always. This wasn't always the plan, though, because originally, when I wrote sort of a treatment for the film, there was this social worker named Emma who's still in the movie, and at one point we were thinking that Lotta would play Emma.
Yeah, and that character was in the scary parts as well. It was in the house
because she got killed at one point.
Yeah, because we thought I lived in all the shorts, so maybe we could just kill me in the movies. But then that character changed so much in the script, and we were scared of saying something because what if we demand too much for now and then nothing will get made? So we thought we will take it easy and then we will make sure I'm in the movie in some way.
Yeah, so at one point we were thinking about having you as one of the cops in the end.
Yeah, because they are in the scary parts, and that was necessary, important for us, it felt like.
Yeah. But the studio was like, they didn't really see you as a police officer.
No.
No, so we basically came up with just, hey, let's do kind of what the short was, recreate the short almost, and then have that at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, we wanted it to be very clearly that it actually is a feature based on the short, and that would have been not as clear if I wouldn't have been in it. And it would have felt really strange for me coming all this way for a project that we did together and not be part of it. So it was important.
Yeah.
And
And Billy Burke here, the opening scene was actually the last thing shot on the film. So he wasn't actually cast because this movie came together so quickly. Like Maria Bello and Billy Burke, they weren't cast until weeks into shooting. So everything just moved so fast on this. Like we uploaded the short. The short went viral online
in March,
spring 2014.
Yeah, in March, mid-March.
And then Hollywood started calling, and there was a lot of talk back and forth, and with agents and producers and studios.
And who knew what we could trust at that point?
Yeah,
right?
We didn't know if this was actually a real thing, something that was actually going to happen. But then it was March 2015. So exactly a year later was when we got the call that yes, the movie's actually happening. Can you get on a plane and be here next week?
Yeah, and I had a job. I had to quit my job and everything, and I had talked to them for months before, like, something is happening in Hollywood. I might have to leave for a while, but I don't really know how long, and I don't know when. So can I get time off work someday, sometime? So they knew that something would happen, but when it did happen, it was very fast, and I'm very happy that they let me leave so quickly.
Yeah, and it was just still a huge gamble because it was like everyone was like, the movie's happening, but it wasn't officially greenlit.
No.
And so we weren't getting paid or anything. So we had to, so the studio paid for the flight over, and they paid for like a week of in a hotel.
Yeah.
But then we had to, find a place to live, and like we borrowed as much money as we could from our families, and because, didn't have that much money.
No, we didn't have anything really.
No, because when I was contacted by, agents and managers, they were like, can you fly over here? Because we want to introduce you to all these people and set you up for meetings and stuff like that. And it was like, no, like I'm broke. Like we can't fly anywhere.
But we did come here in November. The producer paid for a trip here in November.
Yeah, so we could
2
meet
weeks. Yeah,
the
November
studio
2014. Yeah.
Yeah, so we got to meet the studio and like James Wan and Eric Heiser, the writer, and producer Lawrence Gray and everyone. But it was still like we didn't know is this a real thing? Like we couldn't be sure of it. So we were still sort of making little plans back home in Sweden. We even had a plan of doing
a feature film.
A feature film, just the two of us.
Yeah. Like the short films started off with just the two of us, just because it was only the two of us, but then it became sort of a sport, like how much can we do just the two of us? So it would be fun to make a feature film one time.
Yeah.
Just the two of us. But
maybe we could have pulled it off.
Yeah, I think so.
So this is the first thing we shot in the film, which I think was a little bit of a mistake, just because it's the first time we see these characters, and like, they had barely met, Teresa and Alexander, and like my first ever time on a set directing. So yeah, it was a bit, awkward and weird. So I felt like maybe we should have shot that later on when people had sort of gotten to know each other. And,
yeah. I was there that day as well, of course, because it was your first day, and that was it was insane to see that. Yeah,
just it's so many people, and it's such a huge. I mean, this is still was a $5 million movie, which is small in Hollywood studio terms. They basically don't get much any lower in budget than that. But it was still so many people, and just, the whole base camp and catering, and it was pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really lucky in that we got these professional, really good actors that made life a lot easier for me as a first-time director, because there was a lot to think about.
But it was cool to see you there, because this is what you wanted forever, and it was cool to see that, because you know what you're doing, you know what you want. It took a few days before everybody else kind of trusted that, I think.
Yeah.
But you've always known what you want.
Yeah, but it was a lot of. I just put this huge pressure on myself, because it was like, this is my one shot in Hollywood. Like, if I mess this up, that's it. So it's like everything has to be good, and like there's. Yeah, and I didn't know what to expect, so I tried to prepare as much as I could with like storyboards and
and we went to that apartment the weekend before, and just you walked around in your head, and I was sitting with your assistants talking to them while you were walking around the apartment, like talking to yourself and really being in your head.
Yeah, just figuring out where to put the camera and everything. Yeah. And then I made all these shot lists, and we showed up on the day, and people hardly even looked at them, which was like, because there was a bit of friction in that, I'd never been on a film set before, and I was now working with this professional crew who had worked on really big budget movies, and I think there was a little bit of sense of like, oh, we're this new guy, we're kind of doing him a favor by even being here. So that was hard, and there was some arguments there.
And I think also you aren't flashy. Is that kind of the right word to use?
Well, I'm
you aren't
kind of
flashy
an introverted nerd.
Yeah, but with what you know, so you show what you know, and you don't really say what you know. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah.
And people here aren't really used to that. They think people who know things will stuff it in your throat.
Yeah, no,
sort
maybe
of.
I don't really take command, and that was something that.
But I mean, more like, I don't think people here are used to new directors knowing so much that you actually do know a lot of things, and they weren't really expecting that. And it took a few days, and it took for you to get a little angry with them, and like,
which is rare for me, because I'm
super rare. And I was kind of happy when I heard that, like, yes, go David's anger.
Yeah.
And after that, it felt like, okay, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but it was still like, all those shot lists that I prepared. Never. I mean, at first, like, people didn't hardly even looked at him, and then we sort of got along better, and then people were looking at him, but they still didn't happen because once you're on set, then for various reasons, either there's a technical reason, or you're out of time, so you can't do what you had planned, or you come up with something better. So it's like a lot of preparation for nothing.
Yeah. Here's Gabriel and Maria.
Yeah, I think this was one of her first.
Yeah,
scenes.
but the first scene was comes later.
That's later on, I think. Was that the very first? Right.
That was the very first in the doorway.
This was the very first idea I had for Lights Out.
And that was a Swedish movie that you thought to make.
Yeah, it was originally an idea for a different movie. We're just having this kid wake up in the middle of the night because his mom is talking to someone in the dark, and it all sort of came from that idea.
Yeah. Wasn't that one you actually submitted to the Swedish Film Institute and they turned down?
No, not that one.
Not that one.
That was a different one. Yeah, and here we have... There's a thing that doesn't really make sense. Like, when she peeks around the corner, it's like it gets dark. It's like darkness comes with her, which I guess doesn't really make sense with her mythology. It's like she can't really bring darkness with her.
When is this? Did I miss that? Have I seen this movie 10 times?
When she peeks out around the corner, it gets... The room sort of gets swallowed up in darkness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the way that happened was actually when we were shooting that scene, a crew member walked in front of the light, so it got all dark. And I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. Let's do that. And I think... Yeah, when James Wan saw that, he was like, so how does that work? And I was like, well, it's just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the first things you just changed on set as well? I was there that day. I remember.
Maybe.
Because it felt like, ooh, you can do those things that you love with the short films. Because when we do the shorts, it's like we change things overnight or like at the second. But in Hollywood, it's harder to do that. But for that scene, you could see that it was possible.
Yeah, you can actually do.
Yeah.
This day, I was so damn depressed.
It was the worst day, right?
Yeah, because like the night before, I came home from a 15-hour shoot, and home being the garage in Burbank that we rented, because it's like that's what we could afford. So this windowless garage, and I came home just... after a long day of arguments and things not going well, and I just started crying.
Yeah, and I have never seen you cry before.
Yeah, that was the first time, the only time I think I've cried in front of you. And then, because it was just so much, just the pressure I put on myself, and just so much new stuff. So the day when we came in and shot this, people were sort of asking me like, "Are you all right?" Because they could see that I was just... I mean, I was nearly like suicidal, and I was like feeling that I don't want to make movies anymore, which was, that's been my goal entire life.
Yeah.
So to suddenly feel like, oh, I don't actually like this thing that I want to do.
Yeah, that was so hard to see for me as well. And being like, I couldn't be on set 15 hours, or I could, but that would be just
Yeah,
insane.
who would want to?
Who would want to? Yeah. So I came in every other day, and I was thinking about you so much during the days. Like, how is he feeling right now? What is going on? I hope he has a good day today. And I could see like you almost wanting to give up. And I remember trying to like, remember you have these things going on and you will get out of it and
Yeah.
it will get better. And yeah, it was tough.
Well, one of the things that sort of kept me going and not losing hope entirely was the fact that we'd made these shorts together.
Yeah.
And I loved doing that. So it's like, no, filmmaking doesn't have to be this grueling, stressful experience. It can actually be fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we've been saying all along. Like, if this is getting too hard or just not fun anymore, we can always go back to making the shorts, and we will continue making shorts together, and we can make like a feature, just the two of us. That is a possibility. And like, I think, was it after that day? I think it was good that the people saw that you were affected by it, because they were treating you better after that, I think. And
maybe that was the turning point, because things did get better and better after that. And like when the movie was done, it was almost like, I kind of want to do this again.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but
yeah, it's fun for me to see that. Like, I knew all along. I knew you would turn around after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here they are in the Volvo, of course, which is not just chosen because it's Swedish and we wanted to like put Swedish things in there. Like, there's some posters in her apartment with Swedish words on them, but also because that goes with Brett's character. Like, I wanted to have this guy who wasn't what you thought he was, because Rebecca, who doesn't want any commitment, when she met him, she thought, oh, he's this rocker dude, he's not going to want commitment. But he's actually a very sort of committed and very safety conscious guy. So he drives a Volvo, and he's
and he has colorful socks. That is a cute thing as well. He's not as punk rock or as hardcore as he wants to be.
In the end, he does the unexpected as well, and does the right things that you don't see in a horror movie. Like he runs away, he gets the cops, and then so that's and that was a big sort of revelation, to find out just how many questions you have to answer and how many choices you have to make as a director, because it's all this, like, what kind of car does this guy drive? What kind of bag does Martin have when he comes home from school? What kind of shovel does Rebecca grab in the basement? And like the shovels, they give you like, here's 5 different shovels, which one do you want? And it's like, oh, I want the handle of this one and the sort of whatever that's called, the metal thing from this one. And it's like so many choices. And that was something that the studio told me beforehand, that you're going to get a million questions and just answer them right away. Don't let them pile up. Like, even if you're not entirely sure, just give people an answer, and then if on set you realize that it's the wrong thing, we can just change it then, but don't let people wait.
No.
And here's one of those things that changed on the day, because originally Martin was going to look into this door like he does, and he was supposed to see like the shadow of Diana sort of lurking in the darkness, sort of waiting for him, like in a mirror, something like that, to just have it more of a creepy thing. But then on the day, like, we couldn't make that work with a mirror and get that right, so it's like, oh, we have to come up with something else. So it was just like, all right, let's just have a run up and slam against the door, which is like a cheap jump scare, but it's one of those things. People jump though, and I don't know if they have that much of a problem with it. I do think it's kind of cool when she walks backwards like that, because it looks like she sort of disappears, and
it looks like she moonwalks. I like that as well.
Yeah, she's cool like that.
Yeah.
This was fun to shoot. Like, we shot with 2 cameras when they were sort of arguing, so they could improvise a little bit, and Maria had like a tendency to swear, so there were like lots of fucks in there, and we were like, yeah, we don't know if we wanted PG-13 or R-rated, so maybe maybe not swear in all the takes. But they worked really well as mother and daughter because they kind of look like mother and daughter.
I love that scene when he comes down and he's ready.
The elephant stuff on the TV. I don't know who picked that out.
Elephant?
I guess they found there's like a nature documentary or something on the TV in the background.
I've never seen that. I look at them.
Well, Lawrence hated that.
Yeah,
the producer, because I don't know who picked that out. It was just like on the day. It was like, I guess it was something they had the rights to, so we could use. So they like, all right, just put the elephant thing there. And Lawrence was like, why is she watching elephants? I was like, I don't
Why
know.
not? It's a big interest of hers.
Yeah. And her apartment we actually got for free because there's the Swedish word
Släkt. That means lights out in Swedish.
Yeah, it's insane because when I found out, like, yeah, the budget is going to be $5 million, you think you can do anything because it's like so much money.
Yeah,
and then
we did things with no money at all. So.
Yeah, and then you get here and it's like, no, that's actually pretty tight. Like, you're going to have to cut this and loose this. And it was tight. And that this apartment we got for free because it's like an empty building owned by the city, so we could use as long as we just paid for like a security guard, they let us use it to shoot for free, I think. And yeah, it was also funny because I picked this apartment because I wanted her to live in like a busy part of town, and I figured that at night you would see all these cars and stuff going by outside. But then I found out that no, we were actually going to shoot this movie day for night. So they just put black on the window on the outside so you couldn't see anything. So that the whole point of that went away, the whole point of the location. Because now instead, there was so much traffic noise. Because all day there were cars just going past and buses and people talking. And it was just a nightmare for sound.
Yeah, you had to stop a lot of times as well. Like, oh, here comes a fire truck.
Yeah. And, yeah, but they cleaned up a lot of it. But it was kind of funny because then when we got into sound editing, the sound guys put in, like, the sound supervisor we had at first, we just didn't have the same sort of sensibility because he was afraid of quiet. So whenever people weren't talking, there would be like a dog barking or a car horn going off in the background. And with scares, there would be this sort of sucking noises leading up to them, which gave everything away. That's a CGI tattoo sign, by the way. So, yeah, it ended up with him getting fired, which was so weird because I've never been in a position to have someone get fired before.
It's just you and your apartment.
Yeah, and I felt like shit. But it, in this business, it seems that since it's project based, people seem to get fired all the time. So it doesn't seem like a big deal. But it was just like, he was wasting his time cutting all these sounds, and then I was wasting time just rejecting everything. And so yeah, we had to get another sound guy.
But then it turned out great.
It did.
Yeah, you
but
get
it
along.
was, yeah.
And this scene, yeah.
Yeah, this we've done so much in the DI because this was the thing with the DP was like he was a little afraid to go as dark as I wanted to because he was like. Like I get that argument as well that it's better to have a lot of information there and take it down later, but I think he went a little too overboard because this scene originally looked like it was in broad daylight. Like when it got dark, you saw everything.
Yeah, and then Diana wouldn't even be there, right? Because
yeah,
that's the whole idea.
Yeah, but in the DI we managed to just bring it down to this. So there's like a lot of animation in the DI when it goes from red to that light going out to just.
Yeah, I
But
think
because
I
there,
think
there
in
wasn't any
Hollywood,
difference.
no.
That was the big thing. That
Yeah.
once the red lights came on, there wasn't any different in the brightness in the room. It was just a little redder.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Like Diana would be there all the time, or not at all.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
so that was some of the initial friction sort of with the DP of
But I think that it's a Hollywood thing as well, right? Like the Hollywood darkness is always
yeah,
a
blue
bit
light
blue
and
light,
stuff.
yeah. So I think that might be a bit of a European thing as well, wanting it to be dark when it is dark.
Yeah. But Mark, the DP, he did get it then. But
Yeah.
at first it was like when we were shooting that scene that you just saw and she was sort of scratching at the floor there, you know, he was pointing at the monitor and saying like, I can't tell what that is. And I would tell him that, well, that's the point, you know?
Yeah, it's the same in the short film. You're not supposed to see straight away what it is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scarier when you don't know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, and that's why I turn the light off and on so many times, because I'm not sure.
I love this reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. This
That
is
is a favorite.
Andy Osho, by the way, who's
British.
a British comedian, actually.
She's awesome.
So if you're British, you've probably seen her on TV on like panel shows and stuff like that. But yeah, she does a great American accent. And
Yeah, and that is the part that we
Yeah.
kind of thought of for me at first, but it was very different, of course.
yeah,
And it wouldn't have suited me in the end. I think it suited Andy so much better for
Yeah.
what it turned out to be in the script.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, the very first sort of idea I had, Emma was actually a neighbor.
A neighbor, yeah,
A neighbor
coming
to
to
the
help.
mom.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sort of a concerned neighbor. But yeah, that developed into
a social worker, and then she wasn't available as much, and then she wouldn't be in the house.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit scary for me actually when everything changed and we didn't dare to say anything. It's like, am I even gonna be in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that. Like
Yeah.
we can't demand too much because then they might just say, well, then there's no movie, and like, oh fuck, we had
Yeah.
a chance at Hollywood and we asked for too much.
Yeah. Now after we have realized we could have asked for more, but nobody knew that it would be turning out so well. Of course, nobody would be sure that this feature by a nobody director really could turn into this
No,
great thing. Nobody knew, of course. So this is something people ask us. Did it tore on you? Like, did you argue a lot about it? And I don't think it's possible to argue about those things. Of course, you could be a bit sad or disappointed, but nothing that doesn't change anything. The only thing that we try to do is change for the future. Like, decide that in the next movie we make based on a short film, I'm going to be more involved because it is a partnership when we make the short films. And that is something that we need to fix for the future. And I'm not sad about how Lights Out turned out. I'm quite happy with it actually, because Lights Out was my very first part in English. I have never done anything in English before. And it was really hard on set to even get the words to feel like they were my own. And I've done a lot of work on that after, but when Lights Out happened, I would never have been ready for that.
by the way, this shot was all in camera. That's not CGI. So there was a bunch of grips just standing by the windows ready to cover him on cue.
Yeah, I love that scene. It's so good.
Yeah.
It feels like you're sinking sinking into a black hole.
Yeah. Now I'm watching the movie.
Yeah. We shouldn't do that.
No.
How many times have you seen this now, David?
100 probably more. That's the thing. Like you in the past, I've read about people who work in film and they're like, no, I never watch a film once it's done, and I was like, why not? Like, wouldn't you want to see, like, if you turn on the TV and it's like, oh, there's my movie, wouldn't you like watch a bit? But yeah, now it feels like you see it so many times over and over again that I know this movie by heart.
Yeah.
Like every sound, every cut, everything. So there's like no point in me watching it afterwards. And also, I only see everything I hate. Like, oh, we should have done that differently, and this didn't turn out good. And
I've seen it maybe like, I've seen it more than 10 times.
Yeah.
It's probably 20 times. Yeah. But I still have a few points in the movie where I get affected. Like the same amount of affected as I was the first time I saw it. And I think that's a testament to it being good.
Yeah. It's weird to see as well, because it's a lot of things just change so much from what you originally thought
Yeah.
things were going to be.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the worse, but certainly different.
Yeah.
Like originally, the big change that happened was that Diana wasn't originally a ghost. It was more about her just being a sort of manifestation of depression, really. Depression and grief. So, and they did, in my initial treatment, they did call her a demon, but she wasn't really a demon. She was just this sort of presence that's always been around and tormented people. And that was, when I first met James Wan, he was like, Diana should be a ghost, someone who Sophie knew in her past, to make more of an emotional connection, which I thought sounded good, but at the same time, I didn't want to change the whole structure that I'd come up with. So we tried to sort of Frankenstein together this version of both of our ideas, which didn't always work great, perhaps. But no, but just that some of it doesn't really make sense. No. Like why would a ghost go away for several years and then come back? I mean, we have reasons for it, but there were those things we had to sort of figure out. Like, okay, so how do we mesh these two ideas and make them work?
Yeah, and people ask about it as well, but I don't think it would be good to point it out too much in the movie, because then it would be just too much of an explanation.
It was funny as well, because you do test screenings and then you have focus groups after. And the two things that we learned from our initial test screening was that they hated the original ending, which I'll talk about later, and they wanted more backstory. So we shot some extra stuff, some of the, that you'll see later on, and just added more backstory to it.
By the way, do you see the mattress on the floor? People watching this, did you notice it? That's where Diana sleeps. A lot of things got cut in this scene, so it's not, you don't really focus on that anymore. But that is the point of that mattress on the floor.
Yeah, that's sort of, Sophie's been sort of decorating this room, or giving Diana a room up here to stay.
If she's a ghost, she doesn't really sleep, though.
No, but a little home.
Yeah, Maria wants, or not Maria in this case.
Yeah.
Sophie.
And it's funny because all of the photos in this movie were just green screens when we shot them. Like, this was a green screen because we didn't know what that was going to look like. And also all the family photos you saw in the beginning of the film, they were just green screen because people hadn't been cast yet. We didn't know that it was going to be Maria Bello or Billy Burke. And so all of those shots you saw in the beginning were photoshops that I did myself. When Rebecca and Martin out by a tree. And that was a weird way of making movies. Like, this is so dumb. Why is this a VFX shot when you could just have, as long as you have people, you can just
but those photos were there, right?
Yes. Yeah. And this is my voice on the tape recorder.
Yeah. And my accent coach thought you were this awesome voice actor.
Yeah.
Here I'm trying to learn an American accent. It just happens for you.
Yeah. All of these photos she's looking at were taken by a production designer, Jennifer Spence, because I didn't have time during prep. But she did an awesome job. Yeah. Like, she got all these extras, standing around in their underwear, and she shot the chair where Diana disappeared. That's coffee grounds. Yeah. This one. But, while we were shooting the film, we didn't really have the backstory all figured out, which also was one of those things like, fuck, this is a weird way of making movies. Why didn't we figure this out before? So when we shot this scene, we didn't know what was going to be on the tape recorder. We just shot a whole bunch of footage of Teresa just looking at different images. So there were a lot of different images she looked at. And then in the edit, we sort of figured out, what was going to be on the tape, and you know
Yeah.
what the backstory actually was.
Yeah, and that was a lot due to the fact that the story changed from being a more demonic presence that didn't need any backstory in that sense.
Yeah.
And if it is a ghost connected to somebody, it needs a story more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was James's idea, actually. This scene with Diana on the roof, or ceiling, because originally it was just something really simple. Like I don't even remember what the script was, but it was really simple. Like she was just going for a light switch and something pulled her back, or but James was like, "Yo, no, we need something bigger." And what?
Because didn't you cut something? Or how was it? No, I know. Yeah, you needed something bigger, but then, yeah. Oh, sorry. Just forget what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I'm saying.
No, so this was something we added, and but it was so cool because this is a guy's house. Like, this house is, they also shot the Ouija movies here.
Yeah.
But he rents his house out for movie productions, and he lives there with his son. So they sort of live in a different part of the house where the crew isn't allowed. But he was so cool about drilling holes and stuff. Like the stunt guys, I mean, you should have seen the holes they drilled through walls to run like cables and stuff. And he was completely fine with it.
They put it back together.
They did, but still, it's a nice old house. And
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was nice as well. I talked to him a lot.
Yeah, originally we were just going to use this house we went to look at this house just for the basement because we were looking at this other house, but it didn't have a basement because basements are pretty rare in California. So we went to this house to have a look at the basement, and when I saw the house, it was like, this is perfect. I like the outside is perfect, inside, and it has a basement. Like, we don't have to fake anything. Yeah, I mean, look at it. It looks cool.
Creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to this house instead. I've seen people online being like, there's so much product placement for kettle chips, or kettle popcorn or whatever.
Well, have people mentioned that?
Yeah. And
how weird.
I don't know the story about that. I thought that they just, like, I didn't ask for it, or I didn't hear about us getting paid for it or anything.
Yeah.
I think that was just something we were allowed to use or something, because there's so much about rights and stuff and clearance. So, and coming up here is an example of that. Like, the movie they watch is Auntie Mame from 1957 or 8, because for financial reasons, Warner Brothers was like, okay, you can use a Warner Brothers movie, but it has to be from before 1960. I don't even know why. So, and I was like, okay. And before I sort of, like, I didn't even think about what movie it was going to be. So the line producer or someone gave me this, here's Auntie Mame on DVD.
Wasn't it another movie as well? Or was it only that one? I think we looked at a few scenes together, and then you found the one where they talk about light and dark.
Yeah, no, it was just this movie like that I hadn't seen, so I sort of looked through it just to find an appropriate scene, and they talked about light. And by the way, the first image you see, or when you see the TV, that's not Maria or Gabriel. That's Maria's stunt person and a double for Gabriel, because that's the hard thing about shooting with kids, that you lose them. You only have them a certain amount of hours, and then you lose them. I mean, there's no leeway there. Like with adult actors, it's like you keep going until you get what you need. Here it's like, oh, in 5 minutes you lose Gabriel, so get what you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the way it turned out with Diana approaching here. It's cool. And this, I think we cut down a bit because she gave a lot
it was
of
longer.
backstory.
Yeah, it was longer before.
But yeah, it was so hard to light this film.
Because it needs to be dark.
Well, also that I didn't want to cheat. I didn't want to have any light hit Diana. And it was so, because you have to find, have to light the background and try to keep her in the dark, because I didn't want to have, you can cheat and have like a rim light on people to sort of see their silhouettes, but I was like, no, that's cheating. We're going to do it right.
Yeah.
But it was hard.
And when you see Diana, it's always Diana. It's always the actor playing Diana.
Yeah. And this shot was actually a VFX where we took out Diana's hair because originally it was going to be her hair coming down into frame, looking
so
kind of
silly.
creepy. Yeah, I mean, it was a prop guy with a wig on a stick, just lowering it down into frame, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, it looked so
and I
silly.
think...
It's in the trailer?
Was it in the trailer?
I think it is in the trailer, yeah.
Because they did show us a trailer with the hair in it.
Yeah, you tried to get them to remove it, and they were like, no, this is creepy, we want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is also a VFX shot, because in that first shot of the folders, they all said Platinum Dunes on them, because New Line and Platinum Dunes, two production companies, studios or whatever, they have these sort of in-joke going on where they put references to each other's movies in them all the time. So like in The Purge, there's references to people at New Line and stuff like that. So as a joke, they wanted to put to name the psychiatric hospital Platinum Dunes, to sort of, I don't know, say that those guys are crazy.
But that wasn't the plan. Like in the script, it said Mulberry Hill.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like on the day, not only had the prop guy put Platinum Dunes all over everything, like so many, like it was like
so much,
10 stamps or something on it. But it was also, we'd already shot them saying Mulberry Hill, and I didn't think Platinum Dunes really sounded like good either. Yeah. So I painted that out myself. Just took out all of the references. Yeah. Yeah,
but if they want those things, they could say it a little ahead of time, I think.
Yeah. And originally, I think on the Blu-ray, there's the longer version of this scene, because originally this was all the exposition they had, but they're about to enter the exposition room because when we did our additional photography, we were like, okay, they want us to add backstory. So here we did, originally she just went out and came back with a box of stuff and talked a little bit more. But for the additional, now she's wearing an ugly ass wig.
Yeah.
Because she had, cut her hair and changed color, and I hated that wig.
Yeah, yeah. You can't see anything else.
And the thing was that when we did additional photography, we couldn't go back to that apartment. So it's like we did a room that we've never seen before. It's like, I don't know where that room even is in the apartment, but it's her little exposition room where she goes and talks backstory.
Yeah.
This stuff I shot on a little Blackmagic pocket camera myself.
In an abandoned hospital. It was awesome.
It was kind of funny because I was like, we did shoot more stuff on the big, Alexis and shoot it properly, but I told the studio beforehand, like, just give me the actors and a day at the hospital with my little camera, and I'll get everything I need. But people were like, no, we can't do that really, like you have to shoot some real stuff. So we brought everyone there and shot a bunch of stuff, and then this I just grabbed sort of between takes, like, hey, come here girls, and shot a little something, and that's what we used in the film, because that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. And you didn't need, it was too much backstory and too much, it would have been.
There was a scene, I don't know why they have deleted scenes on the Blu-ray, but they didn't put that deleted scene in.
That's sad, because those are really nice, actually.
They look really great, because we saw young...
Diana.
No, yeah, young Diana
Sophie.
too, young Sophie.
They were so good.
She sort of snuck out at night in the hospital and went to Diana's room and sort of talked to her. And,
I kind of missed that scene, even though I know it's better without it, because it was a good scene. They were really good in it, but it wouldn't have made a good thing. Yeah,
it didn't fit into the movie. The place we put it in was later on in the movie when Sophie locks herself in the room, in her bedroom. She sort of, we flash back to...
I remembers.
Yeah. So we did a cool transition and everything, and it looked good, but it didn't really work.
No.
And now the wig is off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her hair looks amazing there, and then the stupid wig comes and destroys everything.
Oh, but it's the worst at the end. Like when they're in the ambulance at the end, we had to actually VFX make her head look smaller because that giant wig looked like an alien head.
Yeah, but there you could fix it. It's like when she's bouncing around in the staircase and the hair is like, it's a different being.
Yeah.
It's a different like entity.
Yeah, and the funny thing was that the stunt person we had when we shot her in the house later on,
she looked like her.
Her hair looked exactly like this.
Yeah.
So we actually tried shooting some stuff with the stunt person from behind just because it looked so much better, but it didn't really work out because she needed to turn around. And, yeah. And this, I've never been a fan of this scene where she's sort of under the bed. Like, it was this thing where we needed to put something here, but it doesn't really make sense that she's knocking on doors and then she's under the bed and then she just disappears for no reason. Like
I don't care. I like this.
Okay.
This is one of the scenes where I get like affected. I always get very scared when she pulls him under.
Yeah. So there we have our stunt coordinator just pulling him down there and pulling him under.
Yeah, and I like this when she get him out there. Yeah. It feels like a good moment.
Yeah, but it kind of doesn't make sense. Like, so is she gone now, or is she still there?
Yeah, and that they're not safe anywhere.
Yeah, that's why we needed the scene to show that they're not actually safe anywhere. They have to deal with this problem.
I love this scene so much.
Yeah.
It's just the most awkward dinner party ever.
Yeah, I like Gabriel here.
Yeah, the pizza slice. Yeah.
And when he drops it.
Yeah, it's the best. That sound effect.
And I liked shooting this. Like when they get up and yell at each other. We shot that, with 2 cameras and handheld. So looking at the monitors, this handheld argument at the dinner table is like, oh, it looks like like a Lars von Trier film or something, with these actors arguing.
And they're really good here as well.
Yeah, and they're just pointing at a piece of green paper. For the temp version of the film, I actually put a Marc Jacobs ad in there because I was like, I Googled image search for like creepy girls, and there was this Marc Jacobs.
Yeah,
ad.
And it was creepy skinny girls as well. Like, of course. If you want to find a very, very skinny person, go for the fashion ads.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I like how she says that could be fake. You sound crazy. Because it's like she's turning it around.
Yeah, like crazy people do.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And I like Brett here as well. He's like, he's trying to be like the sane person here.
Yeah, responsible Brett.
Yeah, the responsible guy. Yeah.
I love her sort of. I mean, look at her face here. Like she looks just
defensive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're great. And Gabriel was fun to find. We had all these auditions for young kids, and it was so hard to judge because when they came in and read their lines, they all sounded like. They sounded kind of like you expect like a Disney Channel movie or show or something where it didn't feel real. It felt
like they had prepared too much for it.
Yeah, so I started doing these things where I improvised with them. Like I didn't have them reading off of anything. Like I gave them a task. Like, okay, you have to take this pen from me. Like I've stolen this from you. Convince me to give you back the pen. And Gabriel was the only one who was like attacking me, like
he was climbing all over.
Yeah, and fighting me. Like I was sore the day after from him sort of hitting me, and like he was totally fearless. So it was like it was no contest. It was like, that's the kid we want.
Didn't the producer say something like, or the New Lions say something about it, like,
well, they keep
don't terrorize the kids next time?
Yeah, they keep making fun of me because they saw the videos of that, like me torturing kids, like just being a complete asshole to them. But it's like, I had to push them to see what they could do.
And also you could see the kids love that thing because then it's improvising and then it's like letting go and being like playful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabriel loved that.
Tiny montage. And there's her
Lights
doing
Out.
your lights out thing from the short.
Mm-hmm.
We had also doing the additional photography. We wanted to establish the wind up flashlight that makes an appearance later on.
The wig.
But the wig.
The wig.
Looked so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love his room.
Our production designer, like Jennifer Spence, is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, she's...
I would have wanted that room when I was a kid.
Yeah. And of course, since Warner Brothers owns DC,
Yeah.
we were allowed to use DC comic stuff, which is why he's like a Batman fan and has like Justice League on there. And yeah. And a little Aquaman, which James is now directing.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could also be a good thing. Saving money, I mean.
Yeah. And here, a lot of people, when she walks away from the door, a lot of people have sort of reacted. Like, I think they see something change, some sort of reflection in the glass, but there's nothing in there.
Isn't there? Because I see that too.
Yeah.
I see like something moving.
Yeah. It could actually be like a shadow, a boom reflection or something. I don't know. It could be, or if it's just her shadow or something. But yeah.
I love it how he's making the bed here, like with the pillows.
Yeah. Good old Brett.
Yeah. I like this scene between these two.
It's kind of nice.
It's a nice scene.
They have chemistry. And
yeah, they do. Yeah, it feels like a real moment, like a real calm moment, and I like that. That's also one of the scenes that it makes me smile a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a lot of romance in a movie like this, but it's nice to have this
just
like
a little
connection.
moment.
It doesn't mean it doesn't have to be romance. It just has to
you don't
be
need
some
a
connection.
sex scene or
no,
anything.
that's just silly. Yeah, you need the connection between people.
Yeah. And now we're about to go into, all hell breaking loose.
Yeah.
This is a short movie. This is like I read that this is the shortest
movie.
released movie in 2016.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
you
over
need a
quick.
prize for that, I think.
And it was great, since you have to watch it 100 times as a director, it's like, oh, good, this scene is soon going to be over. This is soon going to be over, and like then the movie's done. Yeah. Yeah, right now, I just made Annabelle 2, which is a bit longer than this, and you can kind of feel it when you have to watch it over and over again.
I don't feel it.
No, but you've only watched it with an audience, and then it's great.
True.
But when you're sitting there by yourself, just like, oh, okay, come on.
I like this reaction from him as well.
Yeah.
This is the first scene where Maria and where Maria and Teresa saw each other the first time, and that was such a great moment because I think the whole team was a bit like nervous. This is a very important scene. Will this work out? Will the actors handle this moment? And they had just met. They had just like shook hands and said hi, and then they're going to do this scene together.
The same with me. Like the first time I met Maria was 5 minutes before like this scene. It's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, and action.
Yeah, and it was like scary because this is a pivotal moment in the movie. You need to believe her and you need to believe their connection. And it's so good. And it was good from the first take. And I remember I was standing outside and I saw everybody and everybody just made this sound like, oh, okay, this is going to get really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was very lucky with these actors in that it didn't take a lot of direction. It was like action, and then they do their thing, and like maybe I'd have a couple of notes or they sometimes they would nail it after like you do 2 takes and like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but even Teresa here, she was so happy because it is hard to act if you don't get anything from the other person you act
Yeah.
with, and she was getting so much here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a scary scene. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. And her seeing the note. Yeah, it was hard because we needed her. We needed Sophie going from, someone you kind of hate, someone who seems actually evil,
Yeah.
to someone you sympathize with.
Yeah.
But I think that.
That scene does a lot of that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the pills are gone.
Yeah. And the American pill boxes here, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I'd never seen those
No.
before.
They are impossible to open.
Well, now, I mean, you can imagine just suddenly moving to a new country is one thing, but then suddenly moving to a new country and you have to do this
boss?
thing you've
Yeah.
never done before. And
Yeah.
and I had the only person I really directed before was you.
Yeah. And I tell you when I'm not happy or when I don't believe anything, or like I challenge you a lot, but here it's not like that.
Yeah. I like stuff like this when it's just one take, or one single unbroken shot.
Yeah.
We had to do that sometimes in this movie because of time.
Yeah.
But it's nice as well
yeah.
to not constantly have a bunch of coverage. And
Yeah, and it's nice, like, this shows so much at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like what I love with theater, that you could show things happening all over the scene, all over the screen.
Yeah. And the light's about to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we shot just a bunch of exteriors of the house, like on a crane and on a track, just going back and forth, shooting it in the day and the night with lights on, with lights off, just so we had a bunch of exteriors whenever we needed them. And this was another shot that was just had to be
Here
taken
comes the
down so
flashlight.
much in the DI because it was so bright, and I still think it's a little too bright.
But
it was good that we found this particular flashlight.
Yeah.
That actually illuminates. Like, I wanted a wind-up flashlight, but this one also illuminates her face, since it doesn't just point forward.
No, the entire thing lights up.
Yeah. And originally, we wanted to shoot like this shot of the whole neighborhood losing power, but I guess you don't really need it because we're just in this house anyway.
Yeah, and they couldn't close the street.
Afford it.
Yeah, they couldn't close the street, so they couldn't get the crane as far back as needed.
Yeah.
I like this one. I like this scene a lot.
Yeah, and it's funny because soon here, when the light goes out for a bit, when we shot it, it never actually, the flashlight didn't go completely out. It just sort of started fading, and she started recharging it.
Yeah.
Like this, coming up. So this
There,
here.
yeah.
So what we did in the edit, we just faded it to black and then had a few seconds of black.
Yeah, and didn't it, like, on the first test screening, it was a black for a while, but people like that, or you like that, so you added even more black. You just stretched it out.
It's funny because when people see that, they go like, "Oh!"
Yeah, it's perfect.
And it's just fading to black, and it gets a huge reaction.
But it is that it's black so long, and now you've established that thought that the dark is dangerous.
Yeah.
I like Martin here as well.
Yeah.
And that's nice also with, like, there's not really effect. There's a guy standing there outside
Blowing on
it.
candle.
Yeah, like he's fanning a paper, I think.
Yeah. And in the background there is Kara, or stand-in, who's the extra Diana. This was another James idea to sort of have two Dianas. Like, James is sort of big on having long unbroken shots with scary things in them, which is cool, but it's always a bitch to get this right. We did like 19 takes or something.
Yeah.
And
you did cut a little bit in it, right? Because it didn't...
there's a cut here.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
still...
this is nice.
Yeah. But yeah, we did like 19 takes, and none of them got really perfect, but good enough.
Yeah, you're a perfectionist.
And this next shot here, his POV, this shot is CGI.
Done by you.
Yes, because
You
we never
can see that in a YouTube video.
Yeah, on youtube.com/Pony Smasher.
Yes. Go subscribe.
Yeah. No, because we never got that POV. And even when we were like doing additional photography, that was like a low priority thing. So I made that shot. Like I had a still from a different angle. So I projected that. That was Kara again, by the way, because for some reason we didn't have our Alicia, who played Diana there that day. So I had to sort of project these textures on some 3D geometry and sort of change the camera angle and do a lot of painting.
And here comes Brett.
Yeah,
Nice
and whenever people sort of shine flashlight past the camera like that, there's a guy standing there with a big white board to sort of bounce the light back at his face, which you can kind of see sometimes because they angle the flashlight in a certain way and they just light up.
Oh, I like this as well.
Yeah, this is one of those. There was early on, before I even wrote the sort of treatment for the film, I wrote a list of just things I wanted to do, like the car headlight thing that's coming up, and the gunfire and the phone stuff, and
this always get a nice reaction.
Yeah,
this is so nice because when you see this with an audience, this gets a really good reaction, and you can almost kind of anticipate how they will react to this next thing by listening to that first reaction with the phone.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
the car headlights always get
it gets even
one.
more, but if they react a lot to this one, it's going to get even bigger soon.
This is definitely a movie that was like made to see with an audience.
Yeah,
because that's the way
wonderful.
It's best, really.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah,
run, Brad, run. Bleep, bleep.
Yeah.
It is funny. That's the thing that I think I hope people understand that. Some people don't. They have written, we've seen things online like it's funny, but it's not meant to be. Well, it is meant to be. It is meant to be funny.
Meant to be.
Yeah, it is definitely meant to be
love
funny.
like Martin's like, is he going away? Like he just hears the car.
Yeah, but
leaving.
no, of course not. He would never do that. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. And it was funny because, when you're shooting this movie, or when you're shooting a movie, at the same time, every day the editor gets the previous day's footage and starts cutting it together. So once you're done shooting, you get to see a rough cut of the film. And I came in, sat down and watched the very first sort of assembly cut of this movie, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I thought it was the worst piece of shit ever. I mean, it was just so... I was like, maybe you can cut a cool trailer for it. And which is funny because the first trailer they didn't like at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just so much I didn't like. And the weird thing as well, this, when you're on the set shooting, you see things on the monitor and you can play them back. And it felt like this doesn't look or looks kind of cheesy, not really great. But I was like, well, this is Hollywood, so in post they'll add some sort of filter or do something to all these shots that I don't like. But then in the edit, you're like, oh, it's still bad. but then you work on it. You cut out all the things you hate. You do a lot of tweaks. You add new sounds
But you also need to learn you will always feel like that at the first time, and it will always feel better after a while. That's how you are. And for me, it's like when you say those things to me, like when you say it's so crap, I'm never going to make movies again. It's like I have to kind of okay,
sure, David,
sure. That's
This scene is all ADR, by the way, because that furnace was noisy as hell. Because there's like a gas flame in there.
Yeah.
So all their voices are added in post. But that's something I hear happens all the time. Like I heard that Ben Affleck, when he saw the first cut of Argo, he's
Yeah.
like, my career's over.
I'm never gonna
Then
make
he
movies.
won an Oscar,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but it's like it's a lot of things happening with the movie. Afterwards, you add so much stuff to it, like so much sound
and a lot of it is what you take out of the film, really.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you take out
How you
all the
cut
things
it, yeah,
you hate.
yeah, yeah. And
And
even like the editor can do so many. They can do such clever things as well.
now the hand coming appearing here, that's not CGI. So the light she's holding is like a Kino Flow super blue tube. Like it's a light you use to light blue screens with, because we couldn't use actual. So the hand appears by using big UV lights behind her. Like there's a guy just aiming it towards the door. But like we did tests if we could have real UV light, and only that, but you can't because it's just you can't see anything.
No.
So we had to fake it like this. And in here when we see the writing on the wall, behind the sort of shelving or whatever that is, there's a whole bunch of giant UV lights to make that register. That they
I
sort
didn't
of
know that actually.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, I don't think maybe you weren't in there, but when you had all those UV lights on, it sort of hurt your eyes.
It did.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't I there playing with that light? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't.
Well, not those giant ones that we
No.
had to the left here behind
No.
the rack.
Oh, I love
There,
this.
yeah. Because and the thing was that when you had actual UV lights, people look crazy, like their
Yeah.
teeth are shiny.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the thing
I
was that
remember that.
on Diana, you could see Alicia's underwear through the suit.
Yeah.
When she was in really strong UV light.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it was like certain things would show that you didn't want seen.
Yeah.
This is a shot I did.
You were
CGI.
Yeah.
Because we wanted, a lot of these close-ups of things she's reading, like this CGI shot I did in post. Because
There's a video on YouTube/bonus master again.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, so because, or we just told our production design, just write a bunch of craziness, gave a list of some things to write. But then in post, we wanted to say specific things. So we changed that. And the mannequins, another
Yeah.
legal, clearance thing, but that worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Is that,
it did.
we weren't allowed to show these mannequins as they were, just regular mannequins, because of rights somehow. So we had to ruin them and wrap them in plastic to cover them up, which just made them look creepier.
Yeah. And it looks like how Bill Burke's face look in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's how she kills.
Yeah. And here's Diana. I wanted that sense of like, oh shit, like it's gonna be Diana, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yep.
Yeah, you can play with that. Even if people know what's happening, it's scary. Or just because you know.
Yeah.
And here she comes.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we see her.
Pretty much the only time.
Yeah.
I mean, except for that very last end
Yeah.
shot. Exposition.
Yes. You need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool as well, I think.
Yeah. Another CGI
CGI.
shot, because we tried, the EFX guys had a rig that would drop like a wet towel onto the fire, and it just looked lame. It was just a little,
Yeah.
So I had to make it look cooler.
It's so crazy to even think that it was 2 years now since we came here. And there's this movie
And another movie.
and another movie
Yeah,
on
it's
the way.
a lot has
A
happened.
lot has happened, yeah.
I've been,
And here comes the cavalry.
yeah.
Pretty so.
And of course, they don't listen.
No.
Now they're going to die.
Yeah. Oh, we get sucked into it again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is my favorite part. Like we just entered reel 6. But yeah, reel 5 and 6 of the movie is like my favorite part when it gets all actiony, you know, shooting at Diana and killing people. Oh, he had so many problems with these flashlights. You can see it a little bit here because these are LED flashlights. For some reason, if you kept them on for a little too long, they started flickering. So you had to keep turning them off and on. And yeah, I love that in this movie, you can just knock off a handle and that'll open the door for you. Because, I mean, the cops do it and then she does it. But I love this cut here.
Yeah, it's nice. American handles.
Yeah.
Doorknobs.
And
Kadoosh. It's nice.
Yeah, and he's about to get grabbed.
Yeah.
And this was one thing, like, James was like, so he's pointing the flashlight at her, and yet she can pull him away. It's like, yeah. I probably should have, I mean, it would have been better to have him point his back towards her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that.
That is cool,
shoot.
yeah.
And that was cool to shoot as well.
Yeah.
Like having a gun with blanks in them and, yeah.
And this is nice. She's yelling Andrews now, but it was supposed to be Andrew.
Yeah, so the guy was supposed to be called Andrew Form.
Yeah.
But one of the producers was like, well, when she's saying the first name, it almost seems like they have a relationship or like they're too close almost. Yeah. So it's like, all right, we'll change it to Andrews, like it's its last name. Yeah. So now I think his name in the credit is like Brian Andrews or something like that.
Yeah.
And I read a review of the film where someone was like, oh, it's cool that they have a reference to Brian Andrews, who's like an actor in one of the Halloween movies or something. It's like,
that was not
sure.
The plan, yeah.
And yeah, here's wig stuff again. Because originally...
This is my hate part with the wig. This is where I think it's the worst.
So, I mean, originally, because we cut out the original ending where she came back again, we needed a little extra something here in the house. We wanted her to go back for her mom, to have her be more active. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like, she just tried to run away, but Diana got her, and then she got away. Like she had to do something a little heroic or something.
She says they're fighters, so they need to fight. Oh, I hate this.
They don't say that.
Wig.
Yeah, they say.
Yeah, they do it in the basement. Are we gonna die? No.
Oh yeah. They do say it in the basement.
Did you direct this movie or
not?
No.
Well, I didn't write the script. Eric Heiser did.
Yes,
Eric Heiser just got nominated for an Oscar for
Go Eric
Arrival.
Heiser. He's awesome. Here comes the door.
Yeah, and this is not Alicia, because Alicia couldn't come back for these additional photographies, so we had to use another stunt woman.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I was there that day, so I must have known that.
And it was, I hate that how she conveniently drops the light down that way.
Yeah.
But it was to fit it in with the footage we already had. Yeah. Like this is original footage.
Yeah, her hair looks nice.
Yeah, so the light had to end up downstairs, but we wanted her to go upstairs, so she had to drop it like that.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And here's the moment. And
by the way, the voice of Diana is the Ava Cantrell, the little who plays young Diana in the flashbacks. What we did was we used her voice and Maria Bella's voice. It sort of meshed them together a lot.
Yeah, nice.
To have,
Oh, this always it affects me so much.
Yeah. And the one big CGI shot in the movie.
And this reaction by Teresa is what makes it so amazing. Oh, it hurts so much.
Yeah, and I love
that wailing she does.
Yeah, and I also love Gabriel's face when we cut outside here, and he just looks completely destroyed.
It's awful. It's awful.
And this was one of the things that the MPAA complained about as well, because they thought she was like in a pool of blood or something.
No, she's
like
not.
Here, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just that the movie's dark. Like we had to tell him that no, there's no blood there.
Yeah, and this scene is cool looking as well.
Yeah, a lot of police cars.
Yeah, and one take.
And yeah, so this is original footage.
Yeah, nice hair.
And wig.
Bad hair.
But here, this is a VFX shot. All these shots are where they made the wig look a little bit more like her actual hair, and
like it's the double. Yeah, it's her head was huge.
She looked like an alien.
Yeah, she did. It was really laughable.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
we're just ruining this movie for people watching.
No. Yeah. No. So originally, the ending, which you can see on the Blu-ray. It continued after this. They come home from the funeral of Sophie, and they've now adopted or are sort of like foster parents or whatever you call it for Martin. So they're like a new family now. But then Diana comes back, and they
for Martin.
Yeah, she's gotten in through Martin because he's so depressed about his mother
and that
dying.
Was a big thing that changed when the ending was cut. Like in the extra ending, it isn't a good ending. So I'm glad you cut it. But that feeling of it, this affects them so much. Sophie's suicide affects them so much, and it's gonna be a tough life for them. And you could see that a little bit in the extra scenes.
Yeah,
I think.
But it was funny when we had the first test screening, and it was a great crowd.
Yeah,
like watching the movie, they laughed, they jumped.
It was amazing. Yeah,
it was so great. And then we got the test scores back, and they weren't that great.
They were good, but they weren't like that good. As good as it felt.
It didn't match what we felt in the theater.
Yeah.
So then we read all the cards, and people just hated that ending. Like people had written across, like get rid of the second ending.
Yeah.
So what we did was we just cut that out, just ended the movie where it ends now, did another test screening, and the scores went up something insane, like 30 points or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. It went from this is a good movie to this is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And all we did was cut the ending.
Yeah, so that shows how important it is with an ending to not sort of overstay your welcome.
But I can understand, like, if she kills herself for her kids, even if it's not supposed to be like a solution, but if she actually kills herself for her kids, then it shouldn't be in vain, right?
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah, that's what the audience was feeling, that she killed herself in vain. And of course this ending now has gotten some backlash from some people that's like, hey, are you saying suicide is the solution? And absolutely not. Like,
no. Yeah.
No, I mean, their lives are forever changed.
Yeah, and it's going to affect them so much. Like, yeah. It was just a miserable... And that's the thing I feel as well. This is not a happy ending. Why do people feel like it's a happy ending, that we're saying it's a happy ending? No, it's a very, very tragic ending to a movie. And movies can be tragic. It's okay. That's my name. Yay.
Yeah.
It always makes me happy.
Yeah, but right now it's February 2017. I just, I finished Annabelle 2.
Yeah.
And it was, when we were in post on this, New Line came to me. They were very happy with the film and asked me if I wanted to direct Annabelle 2, which is like, all right, let's do it. I'm ready to go again. But it was so much easier.
Yeah, the second time.
So much more relaxed. Like I didn't have all that pressure of like, oh, this is my one shot,
Yeah, I remember being a bit scared, like thinking, is this gonna affect him the same way? But then it just didn't. And that was such a nice feeling of like seeing you enjoy it more and more. Like, yeah.
And for Annabelle 2, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to prepare as insanely as I did for Lights Out. Like, I'm not going to make shot lists or storyboard everything,
No.
Like, I'm just going to, because it's all going to change anyway. I'm just going to go there and figure it out on set. And it actually worked out pretty nicely.
Yeah, and it's also like you knew that people expected you to say what you want, and that you could say how you wanted it to be, and you didn't have to be perfectly nice all the time. You could say what you want,
Yeah.
and they would listen to it,
Yeah,
and they
and
did. Yeah. And maybe they also listened to it because Lights Out went so awesome, so they knew they could trust your instincts.
Yeah, but it's also like now I knew that like on Lights Out it was like
Now or never.
if we didn't make all our scenes in one day, it was like, oh fuck, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
Now I knew that you can pick it up later, or like
Or you
it's
can
not
add
the
a
end
few
of the
days,
world. Well,
Yeah, they added 2 days on Lights Out, and they added 2 days on
I
Annabelle too.
didn't know that was a possibility on
Yeah.
Lights Out, but then they were like, we're gonna add 2 more days. And it's like, we can do that?
Yeah. Yeah, you know more, and yeah. It gets easier and easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in Annabelle 2 as well. I have a part in the end, and I don't sound as swinglish as I did in Lights Out. And
No,
that's good.
you've gotten better.
Yeah.
I think I sound more Swedish now when I hear myself talk on this.
You do?
A little bit.
Maybe you're affected by me. I don't know.
Sure.
Sure.
All right. Well,
It was fun. That went fast.
our very first ever. Yeah, it's the shortest movie of 2016.
Movie to this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I was kind of surprised because I was hoping to do a commentary track and have extras and stuff on the DVD and Blu-ray. I don't know what happened there really, but like I read online that Lights Out's coming out on Blu-ray. Like these are there's deleted scenes on it, and like there is.
But I'm kind of happy because I don't think I would be in it if the marketing people, like, that was another thing. Like, we had to fight for me to be in the trailer and things like that. So I don't think they would have wanted me in the commentary track.
But I would have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But now we have
this.
an unofficial commentary track. So that's something.
Yeah.
All right.
And it was fun. I hope you liked it.
Okay. Because I mean, it's free. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, no complaints.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.